Hi everyone. In this recording, we are discussing everything to do with process and process design. So every business, whether they provide a good or a service, must think about their processes to deliver the good or service. And they must design these processes appropriately in order to best deliver their good or their service. Okay, in the last lesson, we looked at operation strategy and how operation strategy fits into the overall strategy of a firm. We also learned about the difference between top-down versus bottom-up strategies. And you must be able to provide examples and be able to explain this. And then we talked about order winners and order qualifiers. Once again, you must be able to explain these as well as provide examples. Okay, so what is process design? In a nutshell, it's basically thinking about or designing the best way to complete your processes, whether you are making a good, producing thousands of bottles of Coca-Cola, or you are a lawyer and you are seeing clients. You have certain processes that you have to follow to deliver your service as a lawyer and different processes to follow to bottle Coca-Cola. So the design of processes cannot be done independently of the services and or products. So like I'm saying, you have to think about what service am I providing? Is it a specialized service? Is it a mass service? What good am I providing? Is it, custom-made furniture, or is it Coca-Cola, which is again mass-produced? So these decisions that you take on the design of the product or service will impact on the decisions taken during the design process. That ultimately produces these goods or services. So in this table, we already have visited and explained the operations performance objectives in a previous chapter. So we've talked about the importance of quality, speed, dependability, flexibility, and cost. I think it was in chapter 2. So here we link it to process design objectives. So your process must produce quality, error-free products or services. So you've got to make sure your process talks to quality and there are no errors. Speed, your process must produce your service or good in the minimum amount of time. So, Coca-Cola, they probably have their time. They've worked out how much time it's going to take them to produce a batch of, for example, 100 cans. The quicker they work, the more they can produce. So we call that throughput time. Dependability. So, like we said, previously, dependability is important. And in terms of process design, you have to provide a dependable process resources. So the resources for the process must be dependable, the machinery you're using, or whatever it is. You also have to have flexibility. Your process might have to change, especially in today's time with load shedding. There has to be a lot of flexibility in the processes if you don't have a generator to work around load shedding. Okay, then cost. You must design your process to eliminate or get rid of wastage of capacity, using inappropriate inputs. Again, that's a form of waste. Okay, so what are some of the benefits of good design? So if you design your process well, in terms of quality, speed, dependability, and flexibility, these are some of the benefits. You can look through that. Now, in today's time, there's a lot of emphasis on being environmentally friendly. So a lot of firms produce goods, and then at the end of the life of the good, you dump it. For example, what happens to batteries? You dump them. Is that in an environmentally friendly manner? I'm not sure. So when firms are producing products, they must think about what inputs are we using? Is it going to damage the rainforest? How much plastic, how much energy are we consuming in making our product? How much waste material is being created in the manufacturing process? So for example, are we creating a lot of pollution? How long is the life of the product? Do people have to replace it regularly? Because that's going to waste resources. At the end of the life of the product, is it difficult to dispose of? So we know that plastic is a very big problem, and we find that a lot of plastic is ending up in the ocean. So at the end of the life of plastic, it's not biodegradable, and it's ending up in the ocean. And so the end of life of plastic is a huge problem in terms of damaging the environment. Okay, so what we have here is a process map. You don't have to get bogged down in all the details here. All they have done is, this is a firm's inquire to delivery delivery process at a stage lighting firm. We could have done this process map for the process a bank follows when a person applies for a home loan. We could have done a process map for the process you followed to become a student at Boston Media House. So all we can do in a firm is to basically map our process. And like this, once we've mapped the process, we can look at, are there any duplications in the process? Can we improve the process? Where are the backlogs? That sort of thing. So you can read the example, and then this will make a lot more sense, but you don't have to get bogged down in the detail. The purpose of this slide is to show you that we can map a process, whether it's to provide a service, whether it's to provide a good. And the purpose of that is then to look at our processes and see where there's waste and where we can improve the process. Okay, so this section is quite important to look at the different types of processes and be able to apply it to given scenarios. So a project is a once-off complex, large-scale endeavor with a defined start and finish. So for example, if you contact an architect to make you a custom-built home, that's a once-off large-scale project with a specific start and time. Everything is customized to your requirements. You want 2 bedrooms upstairs, you want a small kitchen in your bedroom. Lots of different skills have to be coordinated. So they have to bring in electricians, they have to bring in plumbers, they have to bring in a specialist to do your kitchen in the way you want it. Okay, so architects that do custom homes will typically follow this project process. Then we have the jobbing process. So here we have small quantities or one-offs where there's a few required. It's also specially made with lots of variety and limited repetition. The skills are very broad, and then the skilled jobber or team complete the whole product. So I would think an example here would be having going to a fashion designer and, for example, having your wedding gown made. Okay, so the difference here between the previous one is, there's a set start and an end date. Specially made, everyone customized. Now here in the jobbing process, there is high variety, but there's low repetition. So some of the styles of wedding dresses can be the same, whether you want the big, ballroom gown style, but generally they don't repeat as much, but the styles can be the same. So each wedding gown is a job, but they follow similar styles. The batch process is very easy to link into. Bakeries generally use the batch process. They bake in batches. So they would do a batch of brown bread, a batch of white bread, white rolls, brown rolls, etc. Mass processes produce high volumes, standard repeat products, and this would be something like Coca-Cola. It's produced in very high volumes, and they don't have to keep setting up the machinery. The machinery just keeps on running. Okay, now continuous process is slightly different from what we discussed in mass process, that the process never stops. So one example of a continuous process is oil refinery. It's very capital intensive, so you have very expensive machinery, and the process keeps on running continuously, and you absolutely don't want to stop and start the process or switch on and off the machines. So professional service is something like a lawyer, very high level of customer content. A client spends a considerable amount of time telling you their problem, and it's people-based rather than, for example, in the continuous process where there's lots of machinery. A service shop, medium level of customers, medium and mixed levels of customer contact. I want you to think of an example of a service shop, and we'll discuss that in the Zoom session. And then mass services as well, very many customers, low to medium levels of customer contact. Once again, I want you to think of an example. Look in the textbook, think of other examples, and in the Zoom session, we will discuss more media-focused examples of all of these processes. Okay, and then these videos will give you a bit of overview on the different processes. Okay, so what have we discussed in this recording? We have introduced processes and process design. We've talked about the different types of processes, and then what you have to do is be able to give me examples, which we will then attack and relate to media in the session that we will have, the live session. So thank you very much. Please do your readings and please watch those videos.